Hi, this is Daniela Wolf with Bestie Life, the podcast, and this is your community to support you through the little and not so little events that make up your day-to-day life. From the I've got this moments to the I just can't moments. We are here to empower all women to find and develop the skills they need to find peace, balance, and the bliss in their busy. Through solo episodes as well as interviews with amazing women who share their journey and their story and how it works for you. I hope you find the inspirations to make you laugh, think, as well as maybe rethink what you thought you knew, and connect as we realize that we are all living similar ups and downs and don't have to do it alone. So excited for you to hear this episode, and thanks so much for joining me today. Hi, this is Daniela with Bestie Life, the podcast, and today I'm excited for you to meet LauraAura. She's a vibrant speaker, mindset coach, and host of the Gutsy Podcast. She teaches people how to quit settling and start radiating by shifting their mind junk, and I can't wait to dive into what that actually is. Through her activating speeches, she helps audiences stop overthinking and overcomplicating their next move, allowing them to get what they truly want from life. She's an all-around visionary, and she is going to be that first person to push you out of your comfort zone and the last one to hug you as you head onto the next level of your life. Thank you so much, Laura, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So I know that's such a brief overview of kind of everything that's got you to where you are today. Can you tell us a little more about your journey, your story, and what led you to be a coach and speaker?
Yeah, so I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. I started my career as a graphic designer. So I'll date myself here. My very first job was working at the Yellow Pages, designing Yellow Page ads.
And I hope everybody knows what those are, because that's a ways back.
It's an archaic piece of technology for sure. But it was where I learned that I really wanted to dive into working with people on a deeper level. And so when I was 6.5 months pregnant, I quit that job to start my first business, which was a branding agency. Mm-hmm. And I ran that agency for 16.5 years. I just recently sold it not too long ago.
Oh, congrats.
And thank you. And through that journey, I really found that not only did I enjoy the branding aspect, but I mostly enjoyed the side conversations that I was having with people about what was really happening behind the scenes. The stuff that was keeping them up at night, the thoughts that were stopping them, the things that they were ridiculously excited about. Mm-hmm. And I just really started to latch on to these stories and the mind and the thoughts and the actions that supported or didn't support those thoughts and beliefs. And so I started to interview people on something I called the Green Couch Project. Mm-hmm. I have a lime green couch, and I invited people in, and we had very raw conversations about these things. I felt like as an entrepreneur specifically, I had this whole slew of thoughts and feelings that I felt like I was super alone. But when I started having these conversations, I realized actually this is way more normal than what I think or feel that it is. And we're all kind of doing it in silence simultaneously. And there's something about that just really shook me, that I'm like, I need to bring these vulnerable conversations to the front. And so I turned that series into what is now the Gutsy Podcast, and eventually got to the point where I was like, speaking and coaching and helping people with their mind and what they're doing with their life is more exciting to me in this phase of my life than branding. So I decided to sell the agency, and now I'm a full-time speaker.
I love it. I love it. And I'm so glad you are bringing these conversations to the forefront, because like you said, I think we're all having those conversations with ourselves. We're all having those vulnerable feelings of whether it's failure, downs, what's next, doubt, all those kind of things. And by going through them in isolation, we're making them so much harder and more difficult and unbearable than if we bring them to the forefront and share them together.
Absolutely. There's power in community. We've known that for, how many millions of years at this point. Like, there is power in community. And when you can be in a safe place with like-minded people to have these conversations without judgment, mm-hmm. so much can shift in such a short period of time.
Absolutely. And I think there's definitely a difference between community and commiseration too, because
Yeah.
I think you can definitely be in a place where everyone is sharing those same stories and staying stuck versus that community that builds you up. Do you see that as well?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I mean, what's that saying? Misery loves company. I
Yeah.
mean, you can sit around and complain or stay in the same story for decades, right? You see that with a lot of people that are in the same job, for instance, that they hate being there, or their business, they hate something about it, but they don't do anything about it. They just talk about how much how much they don't like it. And that can go for any topic or situation. So you can, your conversation, your word, your community absolutely has a huge impact. It's like, do you want to keep talking about the same problem for decades, or do you want to start doing something about it? And that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, and definitely making sure you're surrounding yourself with those people that are aligned with the direction you want to go in, I think is going to be crucial to that movement and momentum.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So what are, possibly some trends that you see when you talk to these women, these business owners? Are there themes that you find that kind of keep coming up?
Yeah, so we are so much more alike than any of us realize. Hands down, the number one thing that stops women from moving forward, it's not time, it's not money, it's not responsibilities, it's not anything other than themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
100% themselves. And that is the shining light that is the most common denominator between every single person that I talk to and I work with. And that's rooted in a lot of different things, and thoughts and beliefs, in history and patterns and circumstances, in what our society is shoving down our throats, right? Like there's so many commonalities. And when we learn how to befriend our thoughts instead
Mm-hmm.
of believing that mind junk that, like you mentioned when you're reading my bio, we really have the opportunity to turn that self-doubt into self-belief and to
Yeah.
take action that supports that instead. So hands down, the thoughts. You're your own worst enemy, and you can be your own best supporter as well. So that's probably the biggest
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I don't think we learn enough about how to treat ourselves and take care of ourselves the same way we take care of everybody else. We're taught to be polite to others, we're taught to be kind to others, and yet we are struggling to be able to have that same kindness to ourselves. We would never talk to other people sometimes and have those same conversations as brutally as we do with ourselves, and I'm not sure where that comes from, why we don't prioritize that the same way as we do with strangers.
Well, that leads me actually to the second biggest common denominator that I see is
Mm-hmm.
people pleasing.
Yeah.
Going out of your way to make sure that everyone else has everything that they need and putting all of your stuff on the back burner. I'll get to that later. I'll do that at the end of the day for myself. I'll try that tomorrow. And we all know that time frame just doesn't come, right?
Yeah.
The next fire comes, the next need comes, and whether it's with your boss or your clients or your kids or your spouse or an aging parent, or there's just a million people that need you all the time. And we've gotten really used to expending ourselves to ensure that everyone else's lives have peace. And we forget to do that for ourselves.
Yeah. Later is not a day on the week. It's not on our
Not the last,
clocks.
not the last time I checked.
And I think we need to be more confident and comfortable saying, I'm doing this now, whether it's for ourselves, whether it's intentionally scheduling nothing for us and holding that time as sacred as we do any other meeting that we have.
Well, that's the key word that you just said there is intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to come to do this for you, right? Like as much as I would love to, I'm not showing up at your doorstep tomorrow morning and being like, okay, here's what we're doing for yourself today. Like it just doesn't work that way. You have to advocate for yourself in so many different ways. And I think that women have to advocate even harder for a lot of things in a lot of ways. But if you don't do that for yourself, nothing is going to change. You've
Right.
got to start shifting the narrative of what's happening on the inside so that you can start to change your world on the outside.
Yes, and absolutely. I think that intentionality, making that commitment to it, as opposed to just thinking, oh, it's common sense, I know it, I get it, I'll do it, versus really investing in ourselves the same way we do everything else.
Yes, exactly.
So I know you said that there were two. Did I miss any other ones? Was there a third commonality, or are those were kind of the main ones?
Well, I mean, those are definitely the big ones. I think that the third one that I'm seeing most right now is it kind of corresponds with the mind, but it's this thought or belief that like I should have already known this. And it's
Yeah.
also paired with this feeling like it has to be hard to make change. And don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
like change can be very challenging, especially if you're operating from a deeply rooted belief. But what I'm seeing in my community right now, it's like I didn't realize this could be so easy. Why have I been fighting myself? Right? I've
Right.
been fighting these things. And we make them bigger and harder and hairier than what they actually really need to be
Right.
because we end up fighting ourselves. And so the message with that is like, let it be easy.
Yeah.
Let it be easy. Changing your life, you're not going to change your life today, right? But you can most certainly take one step forward towards it. You
Right.
most you most certainly can move differently. You can make a different decision today. You can choose to respond versus react. You can choose to take the walk instead of scrolling on your phone, right? What like you can choose, and these actions can be simple, and those simple actions lead up to the bigger change.
Yeah, I don't think we give simple enough credit. And definitely, I'm all for easy. I've learned, none of us like to do hard things. That's where we hit those stumbling blocks. That's where we fall off the track and we kind of don't follow through. And I think the easier it is, the more prone we're going to be to actually do the thing.
Yes.
So when you're talking to people, you're talking with women, you're talking with business owners, where is some place you typically start them? Or what's that one thing, if someone's listening right now, that you would tell them this is the one thing, if you're going to pull from this whole podcast, to take with you?
What do you actually want?
Yes. I don't think we think of that enough.
Yep, that is the $1 million question. And I tell you, when I ask people that, it's usually met with a blank stare,
Mm-hmm.
with a kind of looking around like, I have no idea. No one's ever asked me that before. I've never sat to think about what that is. Or they immediately go into their roles and responsibilities through others. And I'm
Okay.
like, hold up, let's pull that back one step. What do you actually want? And I very intentionally put the word actually in there because you can say you
Mm-hmm.
want something but not believe it. When I say
Right.
what do you actually want? I want you to feel that shit in your core, right?
Right.
And it's often the strange or the weird or the different or the like the bigger change, or like it's usually something we kind of lock up
Mm-hmm.
and we don't want to admit it or embrace it because more than often than not, because of the way it's going to impact other people.
Yeah. What's the difference? I like that you pointed that out, but I'd love an example a little bit between, what you want is your role for somebody else versus for yourself, because I think that is so blurry for some of us. We don't even realize we're doing that.
Right, absolutely. So an example might be, if I ask you, what do you actually want? And you're saying, I want my family to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, of course you do. If you're a good human, you want that, of course. But what do you actually want? Meaning, we can have that desire for our family to be happy, for our kids to be happy and successful. But what's going to make you happy and successful? What's
Right.
going to help you contribute to that happiness of your family? Because when you are fulfilled as yourself, you pour amazingness into everybody around you. And
Yeah.
that's the big step that we miss. It's like we think that if we do stuff for ourselves, we're taking away from other people. It's actually quite the opposite. When you invest and pour into yourself and you're happier and you're healthier and you're more clear, you get to pour that into your family, into your kids, into your clients, into the people in your world, and it just makes everything better. So what you want is your family to be happy. What do you actually want? I want to be more fulfilled with myself. Okay, how
Right.
do how do we do that?
Yeah.
Let's start there.
And that's definitely, you're speaking, like I said, my language. I think definitely the way we show up is so much different when we are fulfilled, because now we're not coming from a place of deficit trying to pull from the bottom of our energy of our store.
Absolutely.
So, what are some things that you do for yourself? I know so many times we talk about how we help other people, but as coaches and whatnot, I think being able to share what we do for ourselves sometimes can have just as much impact.
Oh, for sure. And I will be the first to say and admit, I speak this stuff so clearly because I have lived it, walked it, breathed it. I know it. I know
Mm-hmm.
what your mind is doing because mine has done the same thing. And it's been a journey to find out what I actually want. And it's been a journey to find out what works best for my body. So in my community, for instance, last night we were talking a little bit about finding things that work well for you and doing it your way. So just as an example, because this is just fresh on my mind, we were talking about working out, right? Like truly caring for your body. And we were having the discussion around, one of the gals is like, I get up really early for work and I have to work out before work because I found that if I don't, my head's not clear at work. And then my whole day is kind of off. She gets up at the butt crack of dawn. So she's working out at 2:30 in the morning.
Oh my gosh. I thought 5 was early for me.
So early. And I was like, more power to you, but that works for her. Right. And she has found that. And I think that the important part about that is she had to go through this kind of messy action to find what works for her. Right. She tried it after work and it just never stuck. She tried it as soon as she got home and that didn't work. She tried it, she found what works for her. And so for me, I fought this stigma of the should, that successful people should get up early and work out before they do anything. And I just consistently fail at it. I suck at getting up in the morning and working out, and my body doesn't like it. I feel sick. I get dizzy. Like, it's just, my body literally doesn't respond to it. So what does work for me is I work out in the evening. I'm like a 7, 8 o'clock at night. And most people are like, I'm done by that. And I'm like, that's when I need to release my body. So walking, being outside works amazing for me. And one of the biggest things that I do that makes the biggest impact is grounding.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with that type of exercise, but it's basically letting go of the energies that you've picked up from the day and kind of rejuvenating your mind, body, and soul to kind of reset each day. So grounding is a big thing. Walking is a big thing. I'm a big Peloton girl, so I like riding my bike. The combination of the motivation with the music, with the movement, for me is like perfect trio. So anytime that I can have that combination, it's win-win.
Right. Now, grounding, like I have a grounding mat, like I'm familiar with it in that sense, but there's grounding exercises then too?
Yeah. Well, exercise technique, method, whatever you like to call it, there's a million different ways to ground. I don't think that there's a right or wrong way. And that's going back to my point earlier, find what works for you and do it that way. Right. For me, grounding is literally getting outside with my bare feet on the ground and envisioning a circuit of energy where I'm expending the energy from the day and dumping everything out of one foot, and I'm getting new, rejuvenated, fresh energy into the right foot. And so I'm basically cleaning my energy and aura circuit.
I love that. And I love just keep learning new things. Like I said, I think we're all still growing and learning and figuring this out because there are so many different options. And I think allowing ourselves to keep learning that there's more options, there's more things available than what we currently know is going to help ensure that consistency of it always being able to happen because we can adapt, based on what our day looks like.
Absolutely. The other thing that I do that, again, has taken practice is presence. It sounds really simple, but when I'm working, I'm working. When I'm at home, I'm at home. And it's so easy to blend those things, especially if you're an entrepreneur. Like, let's be honest, my entrepreneurial mind does not really turn off. I'm certain that yours doesn't either. So when work creeps up, when I'm in a home space, I just write it down, right? I don't need to take action on it. I don't need to fix the world tonight. I just need to write it down so that my brain doesn't have to try and remember all that and take up all that brain capacity. So the act of presence really allows you to get immersed in what you're doing so that you can feel fulfilled in the task and in the space that you're in. And that's been a really big game changer for me.
Yeah. And like you said, it's those simple things, just being present, just being mindful at that moment, just having that pause is going to help make such a difference, physiologically, subconsciously, emotionally, all of that.
Yes.
I always love to talk about gratitude as an underutilized form of self-care. And so I always love to ask my guests, what are, say, 2 or 3 things you're the most grateful for?
I'm really going to own this right now. I'm really grateful for my gutsy attitude.
Yes.
and I'm not embarrassed to say that. And it's not conceited. I am really, truly grateful for my gutsy attitude because gutsy, I mean, that's the basis for most of the things that I teach. But it's the reason that I'm able to continue to move forward and moving forward towards the things that I really want. It's like stepping up to the plate and having that decision. I can keep doing what I've been doing, or I can move towards what I really want. That gutsy allows you to move towards what you really want. So I'm grateful for that. I'm also really grateful for the space that I'm in right now. Just recently selling the branding agency and having the ability to fully focus on being a speaker and a coach has made such a profound difference in my mind, in my spirit, in my anxiety, in my body. And just having the ability to focus on the thing that I really want right now has been such a gift. But again, I'm going to come back to that's because I had the gutsy and was willing to make the decision to let something go so that I could have something great.
I love that. I love that you're unapologetically embracing the things that you've created for yourself and owning those as well. Because I think a lot of times we try and play small with them. So congrats. I love that you're owning that.
Yeah. It's one of the things that I teach women. Like we talk about taking up space. I just took up space, and I'm not afraid to say that, because these things didn't just happen. Right? The things in your life didn't just happen. It took you making hard decisions, trying new things, experimenting, failing at some stuff, winning at other things. Like it took all this stuff. So especially as women, I want to empower people to like take up the space in which you've created. You've done this for yourself. I've done this for myself. This didn't just fall out of the sky. And when we do that, you build your confidence, you find more clarity, and you impact the people around you, right?
Absolutely. Like, and if you're a mom, you're modeling too. You're modeling for the people around you.
People are watching, whether you think they are or not. And especially if you have kiddos in the home, they are absolutely watching.
And they do what you do and not what you say anyways. Yep. So as well as, just treating yourself that way, you're teaching others how to treat you, where you fall in the priority spectrum as well. If you treat yourself last, you will always be treated last.
Absolutely. And why be ashamed of your happiness?
Right.
Why be ashamed of the gutsy moves that you've taken? Why be ashamed of the things that you really want? Because that's what lights you up.
Yeah.
You can tell when people are honoring who they are. They move differently. They speak differently. They treat others differently. They make decisions differently. It's one of those things where you're like, I don't know what you're having, but I'll have some of that too. It's that kind of energy. They're choosing themselves. And it's not always easy. It's not always a straight line. It never is a straight line. Let's be real. But they have made the decision to do it. And because of that, you impact not only yourself, but the world around you way better.
Absolutely. And to have the confidence of a 3-year-old to just believe that what you do is special. Yeah. We need to go back to those days.
Yes.
So how can people find you? How can they work with you?
Yeah, LauraAura.com is my website. That's the hub for all things me. That's where you can learn about my membership community, my coaching programs. And then if you're a podcast fan, which you're listening here, so I assume that you are, the Gutsy Podcast is up and available. There's over 400 episodes for you to dig in to think about your mind, owning what you want, and learning more about yourself in business.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Laura. I love all of everything that you said in this conversation. So definitely replay this episode, take some notes, and start living for yourself. Thanks so much again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please let me know any questions or comments that you have. Also, if you can please leave an Apple 5-star review so that this episode can be shared with more women. There's 2 quotes that I love. Alone we may be strong, but together we are stronger. As well as when women support each other, incredible things happen. So let's be stronger and incredible together, as well as maybe just have some fun along the way. Thanks so much and talk to you soon. Bye.